One of the things that was revealed at Sony's E3 2016 conference was of course the new project from Hideo Kojima, Death Stranding. Now, as impressive and intriguing as that trailer was, it basically told us nothing about the game other than the fact that Norman Reedus is in it. But now, thanks to an interview with Digital Spy and a series of long-form tweets from the official Kojima Productions Twitter, we now have a sort of vague picture of what Death Stranding might be. Now, these are a little more than hints, but it's still more than we had to go on previously, so let's look at what they had to say. First of all, let's look at a segment from the Digital Spy interview which reads, quotes, "The player will be controlling Norman Reedus' character and will be an action game if you really want to put a genre on it. For example, when I made Metal Gear, it was an action game, but it was different because the main thing was about hiding. People eventually ended up calling that stealth action. In this game, the player will be controlling Norman, but by playing it, they will find something different, something that won't fit in established terms." So let's go through the tweets. I'm not going to read out all of them verbatim because they are fairly lengthy and there's not a huge amount revealed, but I want to go through the bits that do reveal stuff. So, let's start with the first tweet, in which he said, quote, "In our teaser we featured both the connecting strands of handcuff/umbilical cords and also the stranding of whales. Of course, there are also other hints in there, the dog tags being one of these. Our game is still far from being released, but the game has already begun." Another tweet reads, quote, "Of course, a strand also connects us to Norman Reedus. Thanks to this, we were able to finish this teaser in just 2.5 short months. He was kind enough to help us out and be part of this strenuous process." Next up is one of the more interesting tweets, which focuses on death. Now, of course, the how player death and what happens after you die and how, that sort of thing, has been something that developers have definitely experimented with over the years. It's definitely changed a lot since the sort of arcade days and that sort of thing. And this is something they touched on here with this tweet, which reads, quotes, "From the days of coin-operated games have had a continue option if you have failed at your mission. Failing would also mean the death of your game character. In making a game, both in story and in the game system, you depict death. However, death is about to have a new meaning." Now, next up is a series of tweets that are all sort of linked together, and they sort of reveal some of the more core aspects, I suppose, or hints at the more core aspects of the game. And the first one reads, quote, "Kobo Abe, one of my favourite writers, wrote a novella called Rope, which I read in high school. This book talks about the first invention of the human race, the stick and the rope. The stick helped man to keep distance from threats. The stick helped ape evolve into man. On the other hand, the rope helps us capture and bind important things to us. Most online games will have you fight with a stick. This also might be said about social networks. Stick and rope are two very important keywords. You'll be using the stick in our new game, but that is not all. How will you be able to use the rope to connect people worldwide? Will you be able to use both tools? The game will have you playing with these tools, and think about these points." And they also went on to make the rather bold claim that Death Stranding will be a new genre. We've heard that before, of course, but we might get it here because this is a very surreal looking game from the trailer that we saw, and of course that trailer could have nothing to do with the gameplay at all, but it's looking surreal, and I would kind of expect it to be a little bit weird given that it is Hideo Kojima's first project free from the shackles of Konami. I am definitely intrigued as to what he's actually doing. It sounds like he's got some really interesting ideas, and whether or not he executes them well, that remains to be seen, but I'm curious to see what he's up to, and that's not something you can say about every single game. I'm definitely interested to see these themes at play, how they play into gameplay, story, characters, and the world that we'll be presented with in Death Stranding. Now, of course, it's going to be probably years before we ever see anything of this game, but I'm interested, and I'm sure many of you out there listening are as well. I'd love to hear some thoughts from you guys as to everything discussed here. Do feel free to let me know your opinions in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.